Hey everyone, Leo with Dreaming Tree, and welcome to the assembly video for our new spooky luminary. It's very simple actually. A lot of detail that your cutting machine is going to cut out and very little work on our part. So it's going to be a fun one. What we're going to do is assemble the base that actually holds the candles first. I'm going to take one of these long strips here and grab one of these pieces and apply some glue to the little triangular tab. Let's spread that glue out. It's okay if you make it a little messy because, well, it's all going to be covered up. So just join that to the large piece. Make sure that these horizontal lines all match up here, and here. And you can take it then, fold it over onto itself. And if these angles match up, then you know you did a good job of getting those connected properly. Okay, so let's now go over here. Do the same thing with this piece. Doesn't matter which side, it's all symmetrical. Spread that glue out to the very edge, like that. Grab this piece, let me get that glue off my fingers, and line that up again. There we go, right up to that score mark. You don't want to go over it. It'll be right next to it, right on top of it basically. Fold it over onto itself, press down, make sure these angles all match up nicely, like so. There we go. Okay, so we've got the two small ends connected to the large, and now we're going to take and apply glue to one of the ends. Doesn't matter which one, because ultimately we're going to close this up and make it all one solid piece. Spread that glue out, like so. Put that down flat. And join that with this next section. We wanted to make this piece as large as possible, and because we did, we just need to join these pieces together by hand so that we can get the maximum size out of this based on the constraints that we have with our cutting machine. Okay, so essentially we're creating a box here, and now we're going to take and apply some glue to this guy. Hello, fly friend. And you can actually put that down flat, grab the other end here, and line it up, and it should pretty much match up perfectly. It pretty much does. We'll fold it over onto itself, just like we did the last 3 times. And press that down, and the whole thing should lie flat. And it does. There we go. Look at that. All right, so that's the container that's going to hold our candles in place. Now this is the top, and we have this beautiful purple glitter. It's going to go right on top. We're going to actually glue this down right now while we have everything nice and flat. So go ahead and apply your glue onto this piece. Try to keep it somewhat thin. We don't want it squirting out onto the black. And then maybe just a little ring around the circle cutouts here, like that. And try to maintain a nice even border around all of the little cutouts as well as around the perimeter. Let's see how that turned out. Yep, perfect. Okay, brayer might help here just to kind of apply nice even pressure throughout. Now, when we get into the actual construction of the main focal point of this product, I'm going to recommend that you take these pieces and leave them sit under your mat for roughly 10 minutes each, just to make sure that that glue dries nice and hard and everything stays nice and flat. Okay, but for now, what we're going to do, let's see, should we put the top on? Yeah, let's put the top on first. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to anchor this top to one of the long tabs here. So go ahead and apply your glue to one of the long tabs. Go a little bit heavier with the glue here because we need a little extra time, and there's a lot of surface area to cover here. Okay, I'll take this piece and get that nice and centered right up to the very edge. Okay, and we need to kind of nudge things out a little bit or push things in, one or the other. Let's pop that, whoops. Take a look here. Yep, that's nice and aligned, that's good. So we can actually take this and put it down flat and press down on the rest of the tab to help it make contact. There we go. So now it's anchored, and actually, even if you're off a little bit, no one's gonna see that. So this project is very forgiving actually, which is nice. Okay, and now to close this up, I'll go ahead and apply glue to the 3 remaining tabs. Again, go a little bit heavier here because now we even have a lot more surface area to cover. If we don't get it perfect, don't worry about it. There's ways to fix things. Go ahead and spread that glue out to the very edge of your tabs here. Just like that. I want that to look nice and crisp. All right, and close it down, bring it down. Focus on getting it lined up with this side first, the side closest to you. Get that nice and centered, press that down into place. And again, if you have a little bit of glue that shoots out, don't worry about it. And press down along the sides. It should kind of naturally fall into place. Okay. And then just keep running your finger along the perimeter, making sure that everything sits nice and flush. And we can flip it over, press down on the tabs from the inside, make sure the rest of that surface area is gripping. Just kind of continue to check your seams, make sure everything looks good. If by chance you have some gaps, grab yourself a scrap piece of paper and just throw a little bit of glue on it, and then just tuck it in between those 2 areas where you've got some gaps, and then just press and hold that down in place. Okay, but again, you're really only going to see the top of this, so it's not a big deal. All right, finally, we've got to put the bottom on this, so we're going to start again by just anchoring one side. Go ahead and get that in place, spread that glue out like so. Let's grab the bottom, get that aligned nice and center right out to the edge. Press that down into place. Might need to kind of scoot it a little bit. It's a long piece, and the paper tends to kind of have a mind of its own in some areas. Flip that down. You can press down on the rest of the tab. Help that get a good grip. Okay. And that looks good. That seam looks great. Okay, and then finally, we'll flip this out, apply glue to the 3 remaining tabs, just like we did for the top. And spread that glue out. I left the door open in my studio, and of course, got rid of all the flies during the week. Now there's a few that came back to bug me. All right, let's close this up. Focus on getting it aligned here on this side, the side opposite of the side that is already hinged. Okay, and then if you need to kind of nudge the walls in a little bit, that's fine. Press that down and continue pressing down along the perimeter. Cool thing is here too, we can kind of push down from the inside through these holes as well to help the rest of those tabs make better contact. You could literally, I think, yeah, you can pretty much get every inch of that through these holes, which is helpful. Okay, good deal. All right, so there's our base, and these are the candles that I picked out. You don't have to use these exact candles. As long as it fits the little opening, you're in good shape, but you can see here how nicely this fits, and then you have just a little bit of that poking through. You can go higher if you want. I think that the whole idea with this is not to see the candle so much. You just want that light to create a nice silhouette effect on the front and then illuminate that background, okay? All right, so let's get some other easy stuff out of the way. We have the 2 side pieces that just need to be glued together. So you can go ahead and begin putting glue on one of these. Just match it up. This is the cards, or no, sorry, this is the glitter part that's going on top of the cardstock. We opted to go with glitter just to kind of make it interesting during the day too, not just at night. And of course at night when you turn the light on, the glitter will kind of play with the light as well. All right, so I'm just gonna use my little brayer there. And as I mentioned, not so much with these pieces, but I'm gonna do it with these pieces anyway. Put these under your mat while they're drying. okay? And if you want to take it a step further, put something heavy on top of it to really make sure that it dries nice and flat. Okay, that's going to be more important with the main features of this project, not so much with these little guys, but again, I'm just letting you know that if you want this to have some longevity, you're going to want to do that. You don't want to build it and then just put it together right away. You want it to dry so that the glue gets nice and hard while everything is super flat. Okay. All right, so we have a set of windows. These are just some dimensional overlays that are going to go on the back. And speaking of that, why don't we just do the back first? Okay, so there's 2 layers of cardstock, 1 layer of glitter. We're going to do the cardstock first, but before we actually do that, I'm going to grab some vellum, because we've got some vellum pieces that are going to go on here so that we can add some illumination to these windows. You can also backlight this if you want to make it even more spooktacular. Okay, so these 2 are going to go right here, and what we're going to do is just using a series of little dots, just kind of add some dots around the perimeter of the window. You can put one in the middle too if you want. Actually, no, don't. Never mind, don't do that. Actually, it doesn't matter. Just do this. This is fine. This is more than enough. There's going to be another layer that goes over this, and it's going to cover all this up. So that's fine. But again, just go around like this. Around the perimeter of the windows is fine. And just make sure you cover that entire cutout of the window. Here we go. Okay, so again, I'm going to take and apply this layer on top of this layer. Now there's a lot of real estate here. Okay, and I would say, let's see here, what would be the best way to do this? Yeah, you know what? I have an idea. Let's do this. We're going to glue just the bottom portion of this in place. Let me see how that'll work. No, I think we have to go this way. All right, we're going to glue the left house down, get that in place. We're going to stop at the witch, and we're going to stop at the trees. So everything here, and then we'll go ahead and do the rest of it. I think it'll just be easier if we just kind of do it that way. And let's see here, yep. So you can see how nice that's going to look with the vellum. All right, so let's go ahead and begin. I'm going to start on the larger areas here. And one other thing too, depending on how well we do here with the coverage, we can always go in and do some additional painting using a scrap piece of paper to kind of get some of the loose ends to stick better if we kind of missed a little area. And we'll be able to tell when we're done. The inside obviously is important, but it's not as important as the perimeter. And we can always go in and clean that up a little bit using our little painting method. Okay, so drop that down and match it up with the previous layer there that has the glue on it. Get all these little details up here in place first. And kind of work your way around. And there we go. Okay, so let's grab the brayer and let's put that to work. You can see how easy this project's going to be. Okay, now you can kind of flare this out like so. And I'm going to begin putting a little bit of glue on the witch, just little dots. And then I'm going to probably use my finger to thin that out even more. Okay, working my way up here. And if I have to go in and use my little cleanup method, by all means I'm going to do it because we've got a lot of real estate to cover here, which is okay. It's doable. Okay, a little cross there. Go down here, get some on the trees. Right there. Work your way around the windows. And the cool thing about this now, since we've got that anchored, is this will just naturally fall into place. You might have to nudge it a little bit, but not much. Make sure that witch is all nice and lined up. Perfect. All right, let's get the brayer out, nice and easy, gently. Okay, there we go. Well, that worked out nicely. All right, so that's that. Now the final layer here is going to be our glitter, and this is going to be a little bit thicker, but because of the way that it's designed here and it's thinner, we can do the same thing, and that'll be fine. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the same thing. Begin applying our glue over here up by the smoke. I'm going to go a little bit heavier on the glue here, and just stop at the witch. Kind of helps to keep this on your surface. I don't usually do that, but it's so big that why risk it? A little bit heavier with the glue. Stop about there. Okay. And for this, it's okay to use a little extra glue because we want this glue to dry nice and hard to keep this nice and stiff. All right, so match up that left side first, especially up here with the smoke and the tree, and then the bottom. Perfect. You can kind of feel that that bottom is lined up properly. All right, so we got that. Let's give that a quick little bray. We'll put the overlays on after it's fully dry, okay? So now we can peel this back a little bit. And again, I'm going to start up here with the witch. Okay, going a little bit heavier with the glue, not much. You don't want it squirting out all over the place. But I guess at the same time, it doesn't really matter because there's nothing for it to squirt out onto other than like your table or your hand. So again, I'm going to go a little bit heavier because I want this glue to be part of the thickness that keeps this thing nice and sturdy. Okay. Get it on those trees. Yeah, the flies are having a field day in here. Again, I live out in the country. I've got a detached studio, and I got cats coming in here all the time, and kids, and I try to leave the door open. There we go. And again, you can just drop it into place because we got all those little sections aligned, so it should just naturally fall into where it needs to be. Let's get that brayer going and let that do the work. And now again, this is not totally set yet, so let's just make sure that we've got everything that's very sturdy. Okay, but again, pop that under your mat and let that dry. I'd really recommend that you give it about 10 minutes before you take it out, okay? In the meantime, while that one's drying, we can start working on the front. Okay, and we do have some vellum sections that we need to put together. Okay, so for this layer here, we do have some vellum. There's one for this little street lamp. It's gonna go right there. And we have a small pumpkin and a large pumpkin. You can see where those go. So just like we did for the house. Just gonna do little dots around the perimeter where the cutouts are. And I kind of went a little heavy there, and it's okay, you can dab it. It's not gonna be visible. We just wanna try to avoid getting glue into the little cutout areas, obviously. That worked. Okay, and then we're gonna go here. Oh, the glue is just going crazy right now. Okay, and we use the same method here, applying these layers where we kind of break it into sections just to ensure that, you know, we don't bite off more than we can chew, as they say. All right, come on, glue. And with this, I'd probably just do a couple little dots along the thin areas there. And then just dab that with your finger. That's fine. Just pop it into place, make sure you're covering the cutouts. That's all that really matters. Okay, so that worked. Now, I'm gonna take, and you can see here, so you get those aligned, you don't really see the glue anymore. A lot of little details on this, and they kind of want to, it might be easier. I think I'm gonna start on the ghost side. Okay, so let's do that. Let's start over here and start applying our glue. Jeez, I don't know why it's doing that. Usually I can't get enough out. No, I'm just having the opposite problem. Okay, just start applying your glue. Uh-oh. This little guy. There we go. And we're gonna stop pretty much at about, let's say, right about here. Stop right about there. So get your glue on there. The reason we're doing this is because this part is a little easier to line up initially, and once we get it lined up, when we apply glue to the other half, it will just kind of fall into place. We won't even have to do that much to get it aligned. Okay, I'm going to flip this upside down. Okay, and just pop that right on there. And obviously you can match up the bottom and the side, and then work your way in, making sure that the little tombstones and the ghost all match up, and that worked out perfectly. Okay. All right, so now, as you can see here, I can kind of flare this open, and that's fine up to that point. You can always peel it back a little bit. And we'll just apply our glue throughout here. And don't worry about if the glue's kind of spilling out in some spots. And don't worry about getting every little detail, because we can always go in and paint some extra glue on these little gangly areas, because it is going to be hard to get every single inch of this. Now, if you want to, you can always use like a spray adhesive. Just make sure you have a repositionable one. I've tried that in the past for detailed projects like this, and well, it was kind of a disaster, because if you don't get the repositionable one and you don't get it lined up properly, you're toast. You're basically toast. Okay, so just keep that in mind. All right, let's get some more on the main part of this tree. You can always go heavier here. That's easy. And just drop that into place. And then you can see how that just magically lined up. We didn't even have to do anything. But you may need to kind of nudge things around a little bit. Obviously press them into place, especially here and here around the cat and the fence. There we go, perfect. Okay, so that strategy really makes this project so much easier. Okay, duh. Let's get the old brayer out. There we go. Okay, now we can take a look at any little areas that you think might need, like this little branch right there. I didn't get enough glue on that, so I'm just going to take a very thin amount and put it on a scrap piece of paper and literally just separate those two layers, and then just press them together after applying a little extra glue on them. But the rest of it is good. Okay. All right, sweet. So that just leaves our glitter layer. That's going to go right on top, just like this. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to start off on this side, the easier side to align. And don't be afraid to go a little bit heavier with the glue. I'm actually going to stop right about here this time. Okay. Here we go. Work our way up the ghost. Get some on the cross here. There we go. Okay, let's grab our glitter layer and just match that up like so. Just kind of feel, make sure that it's all lined up and flush at the bottom, and then everything else should just kind of fall into place. There we go. All right. All right, so now you can flare this open and just begin applying glue on the rest of this. Go a little bit heavier here. Okay, just don't get any glue on the vellum part, obviously. Don't put any glue on the actual vellum. Definitely get some glue around the vellum, but not on it. I'm working the gangly little tree here. And try to work expeditiously, because we don't have a lot of time for this glue before it starts to set. We can do it. You got this. Okay, get some on the pumpkin here, on the vine. Pardon my head, I hope it's not in the way. I got a big one. Got a big old dome. Get some on the cat, the branch, his tail. There we go. A little bit around the pumpkin. I think that's good. And then bam. And it just falls right into place. Look at that. Okay. And just make sure that all these little areas here that are kind of thin, they do have a tendency that they can move around on their own. They're not really tethered. I mean, they are connected to the rest of the piece, but they can move around a little bit. You just want to nudge them into place. Make sure that they're in the right spot. Okay, we can use the brayer here. Press that down. All right, now, quickly, yep, perfect. Put that under your mat, and let's let that sit. And I'm gonna pause this for a few minutes, maybe, like I said, about 10 minutes, and then we'll put the finishing touches on this. All right, so it just made me think of that SpongeBob meme that you see on the reels all the time. 10 minutes later, we're gonna put the sides on first, okay, because it'll just make it easier to put the front and back on. So just go ahead, and what we're gonna do is actually apply glue to this surface, because the grass is a little bit taller than this surface. We want to make sure that we're not putting glue in places where it doesn't need to be. Okay, I'm going to spread that out at the top a little bit. Okay, there we go. And just make sure that it's flush with the bottom and the two sides. Just kind of feeling with my fingers. You can see how a little bit of that grass kind of comes up. And again, just make sure it's nice and flush. There we go. Do the same thing on the other side. And really all that's left to do is just put the front and back on, which is pretty easy. Now we have those little additional details for the houses that we also want to put on. We could do those now. There we go. Okay, so the two sides are on, and let's take a look here. Okay, so it's pretty obvious where these are going to go. This one's going to go here. This one's going to go here. This little guy's going to go here. And then this one's going to go here. You want to fold at the little score marks here. And you don't want to glue the shutters down. We're just going to put glue around the actual window frame. And this is glitter on glitter, so you're going to want to make sure you give it a little extra time to set. Because, yeah, glitter doesn't like itself very much. So you can actually flatten that out to give it a good press. We didn't put any glue on the shutters, so it doesn't really matter. Oops, see what I mean? Once you get it in place, just try not to nudge it too much. It'll stick. It just doesn't like to play nice, but it'll stay. Okay, there we go. Again, same thing here. Just a little bit of glue on the window frame part. Okay, and I think from my experience, if you get a little bit of glue that shoots out onto glitter, it doesn't really show up. But try to get that aligned nicely and give that a second to really set. I'll just add some nice little detail and dimension to the back. This one's going to go right here. Whoops. Try not to accidentally nudge the other ones either while you're doing this. There we go. Give that a few seconds. Yeah. It will stay better once the glue gets tackier. So just give that a few moments. Okay. And we're going to leave this one set for a little bit before we try to glue it to the main structure here. We'll start with the front first. Well, I guess it doesn't really matter. I was thinking it'd be maybe safer bet to do the back first, but I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference. All right, get that lined up nicely. And just wait till it gets a little tacky. And then once this thing's completely assembled, you can take those shutters and kind of pull them out a little bit more or bring them off to the side. See, those are already sticking nicely. All right, good deal. So, see how these are sitting. Those are sitting pretty good. Okay. All right, so all that's left to do now is we're going to take the front, and we're going to glue that to the front, obviously. Okay, So let's go ahead and apply our glue to this entire surface. And don't be shy with the glue here. Make sure you get a nice line at the top and bottom. And let's spread that out. We got way too much over here. I gotta bring some over this way. Here we go. Get that off that surface. And then I'm just gonna take this and pop it right on there. Make sure it's flush with the bottom and flush with the two sides. Just press that into place, and you can actually take it and just press it down like this. Very gently, don't destroy it. Okay, you can even push down from the inside here to help some of that get a good grip. There we go, nice and flush with the bottom. And there it is. Okay, and then finally, I'm going to take this and we're going to glue it this way so that you see that. So, yeah, I mean, it's cardstock. This one is going to be a little bit more difficult because we're doing glitter on cardstock. The other one, because it was the back of it, was cardstock on cardstock, so that really held nicely. I'm going to go a little bit heavier with the glue here, which also means that because we're putting it on glitter, it's going to take a little bit longer to really catch. Make sure you get that glue all the way up to the top, like so. Going pretty heavy with the glue here, and that's okay. There we go. Get that off my fingers. And then again, make sure it's facing you like this. I'm just kind of using my table as a guide because it's flat. Get it nice and centered. Feel at the bottom, make sure it's flush at the bottom. I can do it this way too. And then what I would do, once you know you've got it aligned properly, is just lay it down and push down like this while it sets. Okay, you can already see how cool that's going to look. Okay, and I would not move that too much right now because, again, as I mentioned, it's glitter going onto cardstock. Make sure it's, yeah, see that? Hot glue would not be a bad idea for this part because of the glitter cardstock factor, but as long as you have it lined up and it's flush on your surface and you're pushing down, it's just a matter of time. Okay, so I'm gonna let this set, and then I'm gonna dim the lights in here and turn this thing on, see what it looks like. So I tried to set up the lights in here to where you could actually see me, but get an idea of what this looks like, and it's just not possible. It would look pretty weird. But anyway, take a look at the final photo and the trailer just to get an idea of what it's gonna look like in your home when it's lit up, especially in a dim area. It's gonna be really cool. And as you can see, it was very simple to put together. So anyway, yeah, see from this angle here, it looks great. Actually, let me see if you can, oh, there you go. That's actually not that bad. And of course, like I said, you can also throw some backlights on there just to kind of illuminate the windows if you want. Just a few little tea lights will work, but you can see how cool that looks. You know, it actually doesn't even look that bad lit up in broad daylight. It's very cool. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please visit us on our YouTube channel and hit that subscribe button. While you're there, hit the little bell so you get notifications anytime we release a new product, whether it be paid or free. And if you make this or anything from our Monster Mash bundle, I'd love to see it, and so would the rest of our community. So head over to your Facebook and do a search for Dreaming Tree Official. That's where you'll find me and over 40,000 other dreamers that inspire us daily. So hope you had a blast, and as always, I look forward to crafting with you again. Hey, thanks for crafting along with me. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, check out some of our other videos, and please consider hitting that subscribe button. Also, don't forget to visit our site and check out our free SVG section, where you'll find over 140 free SVG files complete with assembly tutorials. I'll see you in the craft room.